Sorry.
Select the right speakers. Yes, I can hear you now. Okay. We can resume the recording now. And yes. So let's open what we were doing here. We are going to finish the text. This is a lovely sentence here. We talked about cleft sentences. It was on such a trip that they met documentary filmmaker Crystal Mazzelle. We are not supposed to talk to strangers, they told her shyly. We are not supposed to talk to strangers. So we use this line when there are certain rules, certain expectations, to meet. For example, traditionally, Indian girls, like tradition says, girls are not supposed to laugh loudly in front of strangers. Okay. Some people might say that girls are not supposed to laugh loudly in front of strangers. Okay, make some sentences like this. Hey, very important. Teachers are not supposed to date their students, right?
Yeah, okay.
In every country now they have this kind of rule, that no matter how little the age gap is, when you're the teacher, you're not supposed to date your students. And it is not only for male teachers, female teachers are not supposed to date their students either. Okay, let's make some more sentences with this supposed to.
Um, okay. I I'm not supposed to go outside after 12 a.m. because uh have I forgot that word. When we have like an hour just to stop going outside. Correct.
Okay. And
Mm.
okay, you're saying you're not supposed to go out at night, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure exactly which word you're looking for. If
Yeah.
you could think of it, please let me know. And not okay, great. And let's see. You meet somebody who claims to be a vegetarian, and then he orders fish. Okay, then you say, "Hey, vegetarians are not supposed to eat fish." Okay, so this is the meaning of supposed. We're not supposed to talk to strangers, they told her shyly. Shyly. Okay. When she tried to talk to them, so when she tried to talk to them, their response was, "We're not supposed to talk to strangers." Okay. Very interesting. Their dad might have told them, when you go out, don't talk to strangers. Okay. Maybe, I don't know. However, they grew to trust her. And they grew to trust her. This is an interesting expression, which means slowly with time they started trusting her. Right? They grew to trust her because of their shared love of films. What does this sentence tell you about them? That they both loved movies. The boys grew up watching films only, and this was a lady who made documentary films, so they had one thing in common: they both loved films. So because of this thing, they grew to trust her. They started trusting her. Eventually Crystal uncovered their incredible story. Eventually Crystal uncovered their incredible story. Uncover, okay, find out. When something is hidden, right, uncover the truth. Uncover the bitter truth of your identity. So when you uncover something, you find out something that is normally hidden. Eventually, Crystal uncovered their incredible story. Incredible literally means something that is hard to believe and surprising. And the boys, seeing it As a way, this is a good way. This is a good arrangement here. The boys, seeing it as a way to get jobs in the film industry, agreed to work with her. Okay, the boys agreed to work with her. They see how this connects the subject, the boys, and the verb agreed to work with her. The boys agreed to work with her. And you have the reason. Why did they agree to work with her? Because they saw it as a way to get jobs in the film industry. They thought if we work with this woman, perhaps we will get jobs in the film industry, right? Seeing it as a way to get jobs in the film industry, the boys agreed to work with her to make a documentary. So the boys had their own interest. They decided to work with her to make a documentary about their story, because they thought this might open up a chance, a door in the film industry for them. I felt I had discovered a lost tribe. Okay, she says, now this film documentary, maker, she says, documentary filmmaker says, I felt I had discovered a lost tribe. A producer friend named them the Wolf Pack. Okay, so producer friends, now when they were making the film, of course, they needed a producer. So a producer friend named them the Wolf Pack. Nowadays, the boys are living much more in the real world than the time when they were growing up. They have friends, and one has a girlfriend. Most have jobs, three of them in the film industry. The two youngest have changed their names to Eddie and Glenn and want to be rock musicians. Now, from here, we come to this part. What do you think, section? Why do you think, where are they? I can't believe Rodrigo, and have they forgotten about their class? They're not online either.
Oh,
I see only one tick. I don't see two ticks. Clearly, the message has not been delivered yet. Okay. Maybe it's Monday evening, right?
yes, Monday.
Okay. Let's see. What do you think, section? Why do you think Oscar raised his sons the way he did? That's a good question. Make your guess, Noelia.
Yeah, I think he did that because he was raised as the same kind of thing. Like he was raised with strict parents and also in a city where it was like dangerous probably. So he was afraid of it probably. So he thought like USA was like the same thing, like very dangerous and like with drugs and then alcohol, that kind of stuff. Probably,
So,
I don't know.
so maybe you're saying that the place in Peru where he grew up was
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That might have
Right. Yeah.
made him feel that way. But do you see any parents in Peru doing that, keeping their children indoors all the time, like hostages?
In Peru, no. Right now, no.
I
But
think,
yeah.
okay, you go on, you go on.
Okay, but with my mom, for example, my grandma
Mm,
didn't want to like my mom like go out,
mm.
like my mom loved volleyball and she always wants to play outside, but my grandma says always no, like don't
Mm.
go outside, stay home, don't go. And then I think for that part, yeah, I think he's that kind of a parent.
I can understand why your grandma might have, wanted your mom to stay indoors. Because, when it comes to girls, Their safety, is of different kind. It just, they can be harassed, that's more easily than boys can, be. So I think here there is something bigger going on in the head of this guy Oscar. Don't forget the names he has given to these guys: Mukunda, Govinda, Narayana. These words come from Hindu mythology. Okay, these are not traditional Peruvian names, are they? Mukunda, Govinda, Narayana.
No, but I think it's like a religion. Like he
Yes,
was,
Bhagwan,
yeah,
Jagdish, Krishna. These are all religious names, names of
religious.
gods from Hindu mythology.
Yeah,
So when I connect these things, I guess, sometimes what happens when you become overly religious, then you lose the perspective completely, and you're overwhelmed with just one particular thinking,
yeah,
piousness, holiness. You want to be pure. I think he started thinking that this world is an ugly place, and there is too much of uh, too many sins here, and he wanted to save his children from, not from being in bad company. I think a lot of parents are concerned about their children not falling into bad company, but they do not go to such an extremes, where they say you cannot go out, you will not go to school. I will just go out and bring food, and you guys are gonna stay indoors all the time. I don't think anybody does that unless they lose the perspective completely why we live in this world. They have their own way of thinking completely, and that is that stay pure. So I think his intention was to keep his children pure, away from evils, not only drug addiction and alcohol and stuff. There are other ways to deal with this. I think perhaps he was blindsided by some religious belief completely, and he could not see what he was doing. um, so I think that's my personal opinion, that he just became overly religious, and when people are overly religious, they start doing some really silly stuff. They don't really connect with the world and the way people live. They have their extreme ways, and this is
yeah,
what I see here. So my personal feeling is Oscar was heavily influenced by Hinduism, and he did not take it in perspective. I believe that it's a great religion. People, those who follow Hinduism, are very open-minded people. Okay, I'll tell you,
yeah,
Noelia, there is no fight for Hinduism. Like Hinduism says, follow whatever ways you want to follow, to pray God. You follow religion A, religion B, religion C, whatever you follow, it doesn't matter. All the ways lead to the same truth, lead to the same, um, thing. And there is a philosophy in Hinduism that says, you know, the truth is one, and people express that truth in multiple ways.
exactly.
So
Yes,
what it means, that there is no need to have a fight. Okay, there is no need to argue, there is no need to have any sort of war to prove who is right, who is not. So I don't know why this guy, following this religion, decided to take such an extreme step. But I'm pretty sure religion had something to do with him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have named his children, Bhagwan, Govinda, Narayana, Mukunda, Krishna, and Jagdish. All of them are other names of God, in Hinduism. So personally, I feel there must be something, any religion connection here, why he made such a decision. He wanted his children to be pious, to remain, pure. That's what he thought. Not away from just bad habits, just pious, sinless. Okay. Do you think the boys suffered as a result of their upbringing? Now, that's a good question. What do you think? Can you think of any advantages? Do you think the boys suffered as a result of their upbringing? Can you think of any advantages?
just advantages.
No, both. First question is, do you think they
Okay.
suffered? Can you think of why they can suffered, why they suffered, and then if there were any advantages to this way of growing up?
Okay. I think they suffer the connection with the people. They must have like connection and talk with the people outside because they can live like the way that the world is like like differences, problems, and like they must face that problems. And then but advantages, I think, oh yeah, their career. I think some of them they are like filmmakers or something. So they decide like to follow that path of the movies and the film. So I think it's a good option that like we have like two or three like people like very good in that section of the movies. So I think they're good professionals.
They
So
developed a strong interest in movies,
yes.
and that
So
might have, and that's why three of them have jobs in the film industry,
exactly.
so made it a little easier for them, okay, to choose
Yes.
their
Yes.
career path. Maybe they didn't have to
The
struggle so
vocation.
much, like,
That
which way do I go. That was probably easy for them.
yeah,
Okay.
the vocation. Yeah.
Okay, Gonzalo has just arrived. I would love to hear what they have to say, the brothers. Gonzalo
Yeah.
has interesting opinions most times. Hey, Gonzalo.
Hi, teacher.
Oh, you guys, you came late. Is your brother joining?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Did you forget about your class today?
Uh, teacher, sorry for the delay. Had connection problem.
Oh, you had connection problem, not because you forgot. Normally, what happens, after a 2 days
No,
break,
no,
sometimes
no,
people
teacher.
forget about their class. I know your timing is such that it's difficult to forget. You know, okay. I woke up very early today. I don't know who set an alarm, at 5 o'clock, an hour
Wow.
before your class. Yeah, I got up so early. I didn't even get a very good night's sleep last night. I went to bed really late, I think around 1. So I've slept only for 4 hours. I'll try to make up for it, in the afternoon if I could find some free time.
Yes. Yeah, you
And
must.
and I think if I go to pick my friend up, the guest coming, then maybe, who knows, I won't get that time to sleep. Don't know.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Gonzalo, we are discussing these questions here. We know about this Angelo brothers. So tell me, why do you think their dad, Oscar, raised them the way he did? He raised them very differently, right? You don't find a lot of fathers, locking their children inside the house, stopping them from socializing altogether. They don't go to school, nothing. So why do you think this happened? Why do you think the dad decided to raise his children this way? Gonzalo, are you there? Hey, Rodrigo.
Hi, teacher.
Hello. So
Yes, teacher.
I understand that you are late because of your connection problem. Now that
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
here, we are
That's the reason.
discussing what do you think section. So look at the first question.
Okay.
You remember about the Angelo brothers we are reading, how their
Mm,
dad decided to just kind of prison them inside their own house. They didn't go to school, they didn't make any friends. Once for a whole year, they did not go out at all. It was like they didn't even exist. Their parents didn't know, their neighbors didn't notice them ever. So why do you think Oscar raised his children this way?
The teacher, maybe because his father probably was treated like this when he was little. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, Rodrigo. Noelia had to say that perhaps his father, Oscar's father, raised him this way. Maybe where he grew up, he saw a lot of crime, in the streets, a lot of children losing their way into drugs and alcohol and stuff. So maybe he was worried and he decided to keep his children away from these, evils of the modern world. But I thought differently. I thought it was not just the concern to keep his children safe. I thought it was an extreme thing to do to imprison his own children in their own house. And I think there must have been some religious angle to it because I see the names that he has given to his children, Mukunda, Govinda, Narayana, Krishna, Bhagavana, and these are names from the Hindu mythology. Hindu gods have these names. Why would he name his children after Hindu gods? I think he was heavily influenced by Hinduism, and Hinduism doesn't ask you to follow any strict way of life. Okay, it's about just freedom. Sometimes, actually, some people may mock, Hinduism, saying that there is no way to define who is a Hindu because you don't have any prescribed conditions, that you have to believe in this, you have to do this in order to be called a Hindu. Like if you don't believe in Jesus, you're not a, Christian. If you don't believe in Prophet and Allah, you're not a Muslim. So there are certain conditions to be called a member of a particular religion. But I interestingly, there is no such laid condition that you can, talk about that will qualify you to be called a Hindu, So I don't know, but this guy, without any religious angle to it, I don't think it was possible for somebody to make such extreme decisions, such an extreme decision. I think he just lost his perspective completely because of being overwhelmed by some religious beliefs, and he wanted to keep his children pure rather than safe. I think otherwise he wouldn't really stop them from even going out, meeting anybody. Not all the people around them were all bad. Why did he choose to do that? Because somewhere he thought perhaps they were all bad. So I think religion messes up with your mind, and sometimes it can make you do really silly things. And yeah, that's what I think. I personally feel his father's religious beliefs must have played a role. Now, the second question is, do you think the boys suffered as a result of their upbringing? Can you think of any advantages? Gonzalo and Rodrigo, what's your opinion? Do you think the boys suffered as a result of their upbringing? Can you think of any advantages? Are you there, guys?
Um, I'm thinking that. Okay,
Yep,
teacher,
yep. Take
one
your
moment,
time,
please.
Rodrigo. Do you think the boys suffered as a result of their upbringing? Gonzalo, we can have a discussion another time if you guys need a little more time to maybe go through the story and think about what happened there. If you are very well familiar, if you remember everything what that happened, and while reading, you think about why this might have happened, then maybe you'll be in a better position to answer these questions. You should know what happened, right? The father imprisoned his own children until they were teenagers. And then something, like they decided to go out without their parents' permission. I mean, they kind of rebelled, right? Uh, all they had at home while they were growing up was just movies to watch, and these movies were the only way they learned about so many other things about life. Otherwise, their father just, robbed them of all the opportunities, to know what this world was by keeping them in an apartment all their lives. Growing up, I think there were real serious disadvantages, and they suffered, I think, in more ways than you can imagine. Um when we are small kids, we start going out, making friends, being with people, we go to school. And all this teaches us, how to judge human, beings, their character, their personality. It helps us know ourselves better, you know. But they were not given those opportunities at all. So I think it is going to have a big, big impact, on their lives when they um, get in a relationship, they make friends. It's not going to be the same for them. It will be so new for them, because most of us start, we have our first friend when we are just 3 4 years old, somebody from the neighborhood or somebody from school, and they will have their first friend when they are already in their late teenage or are in their early 20s. So don't you think it is not going to be the same? When we all think about our childhood, we have so many great memories of parties with friends and so many other things, which also, give us our childhood friendship, sometimes give us a lifelong bond with somebody, They didn't have that opportunity either. So, don't know. Sometimes, Noelia, and you guys will confirm that, uh, what was I saying? You see, maybe your best friends are some people that you have known since your childhood, you see. So they will not have that opportunity, because they didn't make any friends when they were kids. So when you are in your 20s, when you are in your late age, you don't make friends for emotional reasons. You make friends for your give and take point, like, who can help you and who you can help type. There is less emotion involved, more, practical reasons. So I think it was a serious disadvantage. The advantage that we agreed upon, Noelia and I, because you guys came late, was perhaps they didn't have that much of a struggle to choose their career path, because all they knew was about movies. So it was easy for them to just decide to work in films. And that's what they're doing. Three of them already have jobs in films. So that was one advantage, that they didn't have too many choices. Okay, next. Why do you think the youngest boys have changed their names? Now, here comes the next question, which again confirms what I thought. Why do you think the youngest boys have changed their names? They call, two of them call themselves Eddie and what? Glenn. Eddie and Glenn. Okay. Why did they change their names to Eddie and Glenn?
Because they're not they don't feel relative to the Hinduism or the Indian perspective or the Indian names. I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It stands them out in a very funny way, right? In a country
Yeah.
where everybody has different names, you suddenly sound like you're from another planet type. And I mean, imagine that we have all the Indian boys here at the local school, and then suddenly one of them says, "My name is Richard." We'll say, "What?" So, Richard, people would definitely make fun. So I think they wanted to relate to where they were. They wanted to
Yeah.
be accepted. They wanted to assimilate themselves to their, surroundings, to their society. And changing the name was one of those things. Uh, Another reason that I think is perhaps they knew why their father gave them the names, and they were not happy about the decision of their dad to keep them, imprisoned. So maybe it was their way of showing that rebellion, that they didn't agree with their dad's opinion.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just a reflection of how they felt about their dad's decision.
Mhm. Yeah.
How does this connect with the quote on page number 9? Page number 9 says, what does it say? What's your story? Yes, the story of your past doesn't have to become the story of your life. So the boys are trying to change what has been the story of their life so far. They're trying to have a new start. Let's say it this way, right? That
Yeah.
quote basically means that you don't have to accept your life's destiny based on the events in the past. You can always give it a new direction. You can choose where you want to take your life. And I think their decision of Their decision to change their names was one of those things, like they are trying to take control. They are trying to decide that they want to move away from what has happened so far. They don't want to be defined by their upbringing. So they are trying to just, shape their life in their own way now, which is basically what this is saying, unit 9, the quote on page number 9. The story of your past doesn't have to be the story of your life. How do you think their upbringing will influence the way they bring up their children if they have them? Yep. Sometimes the way we have been brought up influences, not sometimes, I think most times, influences very heavily the way we raise our own children. I can tell you the way I'm raising my children, my daughter, my nephews, uh, the things I consider valid. A lot of that comes from my own experiences as a child, the way my father raised me. My father didn't give us a lot of, I will say, uh, um, because we were not poor, so he didn't really give us a lot of those things that children crave for, expensive toys, new clothes and all, which we were not very happy about as a child. But now that I'm grown up, I don't really feel I miss what I didn't have. I just think that I enjoyed being with my dad a lot. He spent a lot of time with us, and that kind of drives me and guides me about how I am going to raise my children. I try to just have conversations with them. And I know maybe when they see children with a lot of expensive toys and new clothes, they might feel like they're missing out on those fun things. But when they become mature, they'll realize what really matters in life. Some of these children have very expensive toys and new clothes and so much, so many other things to do, but they don't have time with their parents. I don't think they develop that kind of bond with their parents because of the gifts and the clothes. So I think for parents, it's very important that, you know, they spend time. This is my opinion, again, because of my upbringing, because of the way my father brought me up. So I'm pretty sure the way they were brought up will definitely influence the way they bring up their children if they have them in the future. And I don't think they're going to do what their dad did in this
Mhm.
case because they were not happy about it, I think. I guess they are going to give their children a lot of freedom there because sometimes this is what happens. When you don't get something you wanted in your childhood, you try to give that to your children, that too to an extreme extent. So I am a little bit nervous. These guys might give a little too much of freedom to their children if they have them in the future. They might not stop them from doing anything, who knows, just because their parents stop them from going out.
Mm.
Okay, Noelia, would like to hear what you had to say.
Um, yes, I think they're not gonna be like their dad because they know like it was so bad like for his part like to do that. And also I think as my dad says, like my dad says to me and my brother and my sister, I don't want to like be like me. So so my dad is speaking, right? So I don't want to be like your children raise like my stuff like how this called my type of my type of raising you guys. So but I think you need to be like better than me, so like do your best and then try to avoid this like bad things that happen right now and then try to do better than like in when you're like
Oh my God, Noelia. That reminds so much of my conversation with my daughter. I
yeah,
say to her that Aditi, you know, you don't want to end up being like me, okay? You have
exactly,
to you
yes.
have to, you have to learn from my mistakes, the
Uh-huh.
mistakes I made, and you have to become better than me. Okay.
Exactly.
Sometimes some parents are very straightforward and open about their weaknesses with their children, and they don't present a fake image of them being all perfect and all. uh, some parents do. They are too, I will say scared, accept, too timid to accept that they also have follies and flaws in their personalities. But I
Yes.
think
So
good parents really, be honest with them. It helps the children. Yes, Noelia.
yeah. So my dad is same to you because he also says that, and then I was like, yes. So I'm gonna try like those mistakes convert into like better things to my kids or something. Yeah.
Really lovely.
Yeah.
That being said, I really admire your dad, the kind of person he is, the kind of open mind he has, and the way
Yeah.
he has always dealt with you guys are the way I've seen. Yes, sometimes he does get annoyed, which is normal for people to get
Yeah.
annoyed. Uh, you get annoyed with your children because sometimes,
Yeah.
the way you guys think is different. That's normal.
Yeah.
I also get annoyed with my daughter sometimes. But yeah, absolutely. Rodrigo and Gonzalo, please tell me, do you think, hello, Alejandro, do you think
Teacher.
uh, their upbringing, the way their father has brought them up, will influence the way they bring up their children?
Uh, I think yes, because um, if you had a bad childhood, it is very likely that you won't, you will not raise your children well and make the same mistakes that your parents made of you, right?
Rodrigo, you're saying when somebody had a bad childhood, it
Yeah,
influences the way they bring up their children, right? They don't
yeah.
want to make the same mistakes or they end up making the same mistakes.
If you have a bad childhood, yeah, it's probably that you uh commit no, uh, yeah,
Yeah, yep, commit. Yeah.
okay, the same mistakes.
Um, Rodrigo, suppose a, a boy was raised by an alcoholic father who used to beat him unnecessarily for no reason and all, okay? Do you think that child will do the same to his children, his sons, daughters, when he grows up and has children?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Person who was, was raised by an alcoholic father, cruel father. Do you think he's gonna do the same cruelty to his children when he has children? Or he will learn that his father did this to him, so he's not gonna do that to his children because he can remember how he felt as a child. He doesn't want his children to have those feelings.
I don't have a quick answer for that because it I think depends of the person. But
Depends on Rodrigo,
on
depends
on
on.
on the
Yes, yes.
okay.
I can understand where you're coming from. Gonzalo and Alejandro, I would like to hear from you guys what you have to say.
Their upbringing will likely have a significant impact on their lives.
Mm.
On one hand, they might struggle with social adaptation due to their lack of interaction with the outside world. And on the other hand, their love for cinema and unique experiences could positively influence their careers or creative perspective.
Okay. And how about the way they'll raise their children, Gonzalo? Do you think that will be impacted by their upbringing? And if yes, in what way?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think the children are gonna be, I mean, the boys, the Angulo brothers, when they become fathers, how do you think will they behave with their children? How will they raise their children? They will do the same, controlling thing, or do you think they will
Yeah.
give them too much of freedom? I mean, how is it gonna impact their way of bringing up their children?
Probably they will copy the how
But
you
they were
call
not happy. But they were not happy. No, they were not happy being in prison in
content.
their own house.
Okay.
So, do you think they'll do that to their own children? Do you do what you didn't like about your dad? Do you repeat the same thing? Normally, you try to avoid doing so because you're not happy as a child about what your father's behavior was towards you. So you don't want to repeat that. I understand that if you saw your father drinking alcohol, maybe develop that kind of thing, if you had an alcoholic father. It is possible, which Rodrigo said, it depends on people. Some people actually learn bad habits from their parents as well. I understand, Rodrigo. But when it comes to, raising children, most people remember how they felt being kids. And if they didn't like it, they don't want to do the same things to their own children if they love them. Okay. So don't know. Alejandro, what do you have to say?
Well, I think it depends on the mentality of the child because so basically once they get that trauma, basically once they get that trauma from their childhood, they don't actually know what to do once they grow up. So that's what happens. Basically, they don't know what is right and what is wrong. And if they were to have a child, maybe the influence from their parents, from their father, and will potentially mm, will potentially have a significant impact on them. But on the other hand, there's always this typical story where a child basically loses their parents, and but they actually they have alcoholic parents, but they actually want to do something that they think that it's correct, and get another family, and basically no one more parent, so basically they can have a better life. And that can actually happen, but I think it depends on the mentality of the child, because some childs maybe have another point of view when they grow, and that may be probably the principal factor that this happens. But in general, I think that influence from their parents actually produces that they probably hurt their children in a future.
Wow, Alejandro, very mature, very mature. Wow, you had some deep insights, huh, man? Really impressive. Now you made me think suddenly. Guys, I would like to give you my personal example. I and my brother were both raised by the same parents, of course, okay? But I and my brother are very different fathers, okay? Yeah. I like keeping my children, real. I push them. My brother is more like pampering. He's always like there as an umbrella. And I say, no, you have to face your challenges. I'll be there to support you, but I will not really kind of protect you from experiencing some bad things, because those bad things also sometimes contribute to building your character and strength. So I'm of that attitude. My brother is definitely opposite. He says, now I'll protect my children from bad things as much as I can. They should not experience those bad things at all. I mean, even my brother is more insecure as a father. Like he doesn't allow. He panics more. He doesn't allow the children to go out when it is nighttime. I would say, okay, I do. I take more calculated risk. Again, I can be proven wrong. He can be proven wrong. It's not about who is right, who is wrong. Just saying that we both have very different attitudes about upbringing. But we were raised by the same parents, Gonzalo Rodrigo. So Alejandro is right. It depends on the children's mentality as well. I would also like to add one more point. When I was growing up, I had my grandfather, who was an alcoholic. He would have to drink every night. There was no other way. Sometimes he felt very insulted because, my father, my father's brother, my uncle, both of them were not very happy about my grandfather's drinking habit. They used to, criticize him a lot, but he was so addicted that he had to compromise with his self-esteem. He would not be able to help himself. He would listen to all the criticism from his own children and still do the same thing. My father had an addiction to smoking. He couldn't live without cigarettes. But I grew up with no addictions whatsoever. I never touched cigarette. I never drank wine, alcohol. I'm open to drinking now, though. In my mind, I do not have any such problems anymore. I mean, when I was a kid, I thought it was a bad thing, totally. And even when my friends offered me to drink with them, I refused very strictly. I said, if you don't want to, jeopardize your friendship with me, don't force me, don't push me to drink. Okay. And they respected that. But now I think I'm open. I can try it, when I'm in the right place with the right people, I might try it. Okay. But I will never touch a cigarette. I know it is harmful. I saw my father suffer, but I told you, like, a lot of my father's brothers had the same problems, but their children inherited all those bad things. They smoke, they drink. I don't know why they didn't learn the lesson. I thought, okay, my father had a problem, medical condition, asthma, okay, and he would have asthma attacks, and it was so difficult for us children to watch him suffer emotionally. We could not help him at all with anything, but just we stood there seeing him, gasping, you know, and feeling so uncomfortable. I don't want my children to go through that, emotional torture. I try and take care of myself. I would hate to be in a place, the same situation where my children see me, struggling with my health so much. So I try to be healthy, not just for myself, for my children's, emotional health as well. Nobody wants to see their father struggling like that. It was very torturous, I would say, for me. So yeah, depends on what you learn from how you see your father's upbringing, your father's way of bringing you up. It depends on what things you like and dislike. And yeah, true. Maybe some of those children are gonna do that. Who knows? Or maybe they won't. So personally, I feel because they were very critical of their father's upbringing, they critical in a way, they rebelled eventually when they became a little old. So I think maybe they won't do it. That's my take. I'll stick to that. Maybe they won't do it. Most probably, the children are not going to raise their children in a controlling way. Most probably, my verdict is my opinion, that these children, the Anglo brothers, are going to give a little too much of freedom, in my opinion, to their children because they didn't have. So they will compensate for what they didn't have by giving their children too much of it. Yeah. It was a good conversation. I wish you guys had been here from the very beginning, but that's all right. Now, we have a listening, exercise here. My closest relative. Most of us live with multiple people in the family, mother, father, uncle, aunt, dad, granddad, sometimes, you see, and brothers, sisters, of course, our siblings. We like them all, we love them all, but then somehow, for some reasons, we are close to one particular person. Who is that closest relative for you? You know. Now, before we answer that question, let's look at some statements. Are they true for your family? Mothers feel closer to their sons. Rodrigo, mothers feel closer to their sons. Is that true for your family? Is your mom closer to you guys? Rodrigo Gonzalo.
Totally true, teacher.
True? Is it true?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is.
teacher.
It is true. Mothers feel closer to their sons. Alejandro and Noelia, what do you have to say?
Yes, I do think so.
You
In
don't think
general,
you don't think so?
I think so. Yeah,
You
I
think
do.
so?
I do.
You do. Okay.
Yeah.
Noelia.
Yeah, I think the same. I think my mom loves more my brother than me, or my sister. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Your mom loves your brother more than you and your sister. Okay. Look at the next sentence then. But Gonzalo and Rodrigo, you guys don't have any sisters, do you?
No, no.
No, teacher.
But maybe your uncles do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you see in their family? Do you think fathers feel closer to their daughters? Fathers feel closer to their daughters, Rodrigo?
Mm,
How would you know? How would you know?
so I'm not sure. So yeah.
Well, okay, Gonzalo, what do you have to say?
I think it depends the circumstance.
It depends. I don't
Yeah.
think it depends. Okay, maybe it does. Maybe it does. It does. Depends on what, Gonzalo.
Maybe the relationship you have with your mother, it's can be totally different than the relationship of your brother with your mother.
Mm-hmm. Alejandro, fathers feel closer to their daughters?
Yeah, I do think so. Like they actually like they like more to pass their time with their daughters. Yeah, that actually happens here, but I also have a strong good relationship with my father, obviously. But but in general, yeah, I think that actually happens.
Your dad is so proud of you, Alejandro. I know. When he talks about you, when he talks about Noelia, he has things to say which makes me feel he really feels very proud of both of you. Brenda is very small, so that is a different feeling. But he feels very proud the way Noelia, yeah, like, especially, I think, yeah, fathers feel closer. Let me listen to Noelia, what she has to say, then I'll express my opinion. Yeah, Noelia.
Yeah, I think fathers feel closer to their daughters because I think it's a common thing like to protect a girl, and then because it's the, well, in my case I'm the first one, so they want to protect me, and then yeah, at first when I was like a child, so I think they're closer to me than my brother, for example.
Okay. Yeah, totally. When I was a kid, I was very sometimes unhappy with my dad because he would just favor my sister no matter whether she was right or wrong. He would favor her all the time. He would support her. And I would not understand, why can't you support me sometimes? And I used to feel annoyed. And then I became a father myself. And now I understand that feeling so very well. I wish my papa was alive. I would be able to tell him that now I have no complaints that you were a little rude to me and you favored my sister, because I can understand why maybe fathers do feel closer to their daughters, somehow. I'm not saying mothers don't or fathers don't love their sons, but they certainly have a little bit of a different kind of bond with their daughters, you know. And yes, Alejandro, I understand, Gonzalo, you said it depends because, see, some dads are not very, I will say, kind to women. They are a bit misogynistic in their mindset, you know. So those dads, I'm not sure whether they'll love their daughters, they'll have a closer bond, with their daughters if they are misogynistic in their mindset. Some very traditional men, they prefer their sons because they think sons are boys, so they will have a, man to man bond and connection. And so some dads are not very close to their daughters, like Gonzalo said, it depends. But most fathers, I'm talking about normal, dads who do not have that biased attitude towards girls, they are usually closer to their daughters. I have seen that. My own dad was, um, I am, and I've seen many. However, I have a friend who thinks he loves his daughter the same, but I can clearly see his bias for his son. He doesn't accept that, but yeah, it's there. Moving on to the next statement, which is the firstborn child is ambitious, responsible, dominant, and insecure. Ambitious, responsible, dominant, and insecure. Let's go to the first child. The firstborn child is Noelia here and Rodrigo, I suppose. So I would like to hear from you. Do you agree with this description of yours? You are the firstborn child. Are you ambitious, responsible, dominant, and insecure, Noelia?
Yes, for sure. All of them.
All of them. Rodrigo.
Yes, it's true.
Why is it so? But it is true, isn't it? In my family, my brother, more ambitious. He was more responsible as well, I would say. I am responsible, but I grew up responsible later. But he was always responsible. Dominant, he grew up to be dominant later in his life. Earlier, he was not. Okay. He was not dominant. Now he behaves that way. He's dominant a little bit. Insecure, always. Always. Oh, you are not supporting me. You're against me. Insecure. You are keeping quiet. It means you don't support me. Insecure. Or very insecure. So, yeah, firstborn children are like that. Yeah, okay. I think some experts, some psychologists, after observing a lot of things, they might have made these comments, these statements. Absolutely true. Now, going to the younger ones, do you agree with the description of the firstborn child, Alejandro? Your elder sister, Noelia, do you think she's ambitious, responsible, dominant, and insecure?
Maybe not so much insecure, ambitious, responsible, dominant. Yes, yes, I do think so. But
Noelia?
insecure?
No.
No, probably I think I am way more insecure than her. But
What?
because
No.
whenever I have to take a decision, like I'm taking like a lot of time
Oh,
No, in my
since
case,
I don't know how to think
Oh,
about
hold on, hold
things
on, hold
in
on.
my life.
I need to explain insecure. Insecure is more about emotional aspect of it. Like you think you need constant, assurance that somebody loves you. Otherwise, you'll start to feel lonely.
Yeah, yeah, that's what actually happens. Like I need
oh,
to like
okay, no.
because
Sorry.
I actually
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
thinking about things until they are secure.
Okay, Noelia, your brother says you're less insecure. He himself is more insecure, and he is admitting to that. That's amazing. What do you think? Do you agree?
Uh, like the thing with me, like I always like overthink. So probably I'm more insecure. I don't know because I like we didn't talk about it, but like probably yeah, he's more insecure. But in some cases, I can't stop thinking about like one situation, like one emotional situation, and I'm still thinking. So I don't know.
Okay, I
Probably
again I have to tell you what insecurity means, but a bit later.
okay.
Let's listen to Gonzalo and
Yeah,
Rodrigo.
yeah.
Gonzalo
Yes.
and Rodrigo, you guys, Rodrigo already said he agrees that this is a good statement, true statement about the firstborn children, and he thinks it is true in his case as well. Gonzalo, do you see your elder brother Rodrigo this way? He's ambitious, he's responsible, he's dominant and insecure.
Sometimes,
Go on, go on. It's
but
getting fun. It's getting
insecure,
fun.
no. Insecure, no.
Okay, I need to discuss this word. My daughter says,
Mhm.
"Papa, you are wrong. You're wrong here." Okay, and she says, "Support somebody else in an argument with me." Okay, now that will not make me feel, oh, my daughter is kind of changing her stance. She will not love me. She will not be on my side. I mean, I don't feel that way. I know at the end of the day, she's my daughter. She will never have the same bond with anybody else that the bond she has with me. That security. My wife, in an argument, suppose I'm having an argument with my brother, okay? And my wife supports my brother. I will not feel, oh my goodness, she ditched me. I will not have that feeling. Suppose my mom, when I'm having an argument with my brother, my mom supports my brother. Okay, she says you are wrong about me. I will not say my mom doesn't love me anymore. She's supporting my brother. I still know at the end of the day, she's my mom. She will love me the same. Maybe she thinks this way here. Maybe she's wrong about her opinion here. But that will not make me feel she doesn't love me. So insecure people, they connect such dots the wrong way and start to feel, oh, people don't love them. Insecure they are. An insecure husband always thinks that his wife will have an affair with somebody else. The moment she smiles and talks to somebody, he starts to feel, oh, she likes that guy. She's gonna leave me, or maybe she will have an affair with him. Insecurity. Okay, that's insecurity in a relationship. Okay, insecure about your position, insecure about your place, insecure about your importance. I hope you understand now what insecure is.
Yeah.
It's not just about overthinking about a particular aspect of life. That is insecure. Like somebody doesn't love you just because that person made this comment. So I can have really bad fights, with my family members, arguments and all, but that doesn't change anything inside me about them, and I don't think that fight. I've been fighting and quarreling with my sister up until a few years ago. We are all both grown up, married with children, but we still fought like kids. I never felt she could take it very seriously, but then I noticed that she was actually hurt with that those experiences now. So I changed myself because for me they were not a big deal. I mean, I've been always quarreling with her, so there was nothing new about it. But my sister wasn't very happy that she was now married, and still I've quarreled with her. So I changed my stand, my behavior with her. But I'm not insecure at all, where anywhere. Like when I'm talking to you guys, I feel as a teacher I have a special place. Special doesn't mean better than other people. My own place in your hearts, in your minds. And I think you will have many more teachers, but then you will always have that Vinay, your teacher from India, a particular place, and that will be mine. I don't have to compete with anybody else to prove that I deserve that place or something. I don't make a special efforts. It doesn't mean I take people for granted. No, 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 no. I just feel secure. I know I bring something, I have something that is just me, that only about me. And I feel very secure about my place everywhere, you know. So yes, when you are in a love relationship, romantic relationship, insecurity is a little more, which is natural. Everybody can understand, especially in the initial stages when you are just developing, going in that direction. But other than that, I think, yeah, so insecure, you guys understand the word better now. I will definitely say the first child is insecure. I don't know about you guys whether you agree with this, but I definitely think the first child is insecure. For there is a reason. The first child is the only child getting all the attention from the parents, and then comes the second one, and suddenly he has to share all that love and affection and care. So insecurity is natural, and then the third child and so on. So, anyways, I would love to carry on, but it is nearly 7:15, so we have to wrap up. And I'm gonna share this exercise with you. I'm gonna share the whole page with you, and I'm gonna put the audio file in the group. Listen to 1.9 and try and do exercise 2 and 3 if you can. 2, 3,
Yes.
and 4. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the group for you guys. Okay, so that's all for today, guys. Good night. Take care. It was a lovely conversation. Enjoyed all the chit chats with you. Bye
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
bye.
teacher.
teacher.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.